Hi, and welcome to our fourth episode of the OTWO Pod. In this first season, we are focusing on businesses, so businesses to businesses, and the main point is building greener businesses. So we're trying to inspire, help, and educate, and try and guide any business that's interested in becoming a bit more sustainable and giving them good ideas and good choices to go ahead with that. And thank you so much. I've got Stuart Hedley today from e-bikes coming and helping us along with this sustainable transport and different options and stuff. But firstly, Stuart, tell me a bit about yourself and tell me a bit about what e-bikes is all about.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for having me on. We've been in discussion, I think, since the conception of e-bike Gibraltar, which was 2019.
Yeah.
We coincided with our conceiving the two businesses.
We did.
And I remember very well actually meeting you for the first time at an environmental fair. That
Commonwealth Park.
Exactly.
World Environment Day.
Absolutely.
It was a good day.
World Environment Day, that's right,
Yeah.
with Minister Cortez. Yeah. So we set up in Gibraltar, that was when we were first doing our pilot scheme to try and introduce a more environmentally conscious way of visiting the nature reserve with the electric bike. You know, it's fairly steep, some of the sections to get up to the top there, obviously. On a regular bike, it's possible, but it's not so much fun and not a huge market for tourists.
Yeah.
The electric bike has changed all of that. So the electric bike flattens the hills, we say, and makes those bicycle journeys.
So your first start for e-bikes was for tourism,
Yes.
just purely based on that.
Yes, that's where we saw the main commercial opportunity. But the bigger picture was then trying to introduce e-bikes to the local community, but then seeing the tourist option first. So really trying to give the local community, by bringing e-bikes into Gibraltar, giving them the opportunity to try them and just see what a credible
See the
alternative
potential that they
are.
have. And how have you noticed that?
That's been amazing. I mean, I have to say that, you know, just after 2019, when we opened the shop there in Ocean Village, beginning of 2020, it was about 2 weeks before our first pandemic lockdown. So that did change the market somewhat.
Yeah.
And although we saw selling e-bikes as being a bit of a cream to the business, with the main part of the business coming from tourism, selling bikes was going to be part of the business, a separate income stream, but you know, not something we were reliant on so much. But the pandemic changed all of that, so we lost our tourism completely, but sales were phenomenal. You know, people really converted after seeing how beautiful Gibraltar is without so many vehicles on the road.
Yeah, I can imagine it was definitely a sight. I mean, I'll never forget the fresh air.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously it wasn't a good time for anybody, but that was a positive in the very big negative that we did have around.
Exactly, and you've got to find those things, right? And many people did. We had the opportunity to exercise. It was pretty good going being in Gibraltar generally compared to a lot of places. We were allowed out to exercise individually, sometimes in small groups.
Yeah.
So getting into the nature reserve for locals at that time, a lot of walking, obviously, they stopped traffic up there. And Chief Minister, of course, was a very big advocate riding his electric bike in the reserve at that time.
He started with the ministers riding bicycles. He
Yeah.
led that.
Yeah, exactly. Start at the top.
Amazing. Well, that's pretty good. So with regards to, so we'll talk about the cycling and the changes that you've seen in infrastructure, which we know locally there has been. But as a shop owner, what sustainable practices have you done with regards to building your own shop and creating your own policies that you have in your own shop?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we do have a lot of shop owners in Gibraltar, and perhaps you can help inspire or give ideas as to any sustainable sort of tips.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we're just coming to the 6th year of the business now in Ocean Village, and we've tried to create sustainable practices in every element of our business. And I'm very pleased to see that we reached a stage where we entered the Sustainability Awards last year, and we won that as the
congratulations.
most sustainable business, following your lead from last year,
amazing.
or the year before. That means, what does that mean? So that means everything from repurposing our packaging, from giving packaging a second life. So bike boxes we give onto Bishop's Move, who are always looking to transport client bicycles. Pallets that bikes arrive on we use for signage, we use for displays of plants on the shops, we use for plinths for the bikes to be displayed on. Really every aspect that we can. Obviously we are promoting sustainable and active transport, so we don't have any combustion vehicles in the business. We invested in a trailer to be able to transport, we can transport up to 4 bikes being towed by an electric cargo bike. That was another addition last year, so we can now deliver bikes either to the cruise ship terminal, to hotels, to short-let accommodation, rather than having people arrive at the shop to pick up their bikes. So there's a plethora, and the beauty of the Sustainability Awards and for communication such as this is it gives other businesses the opportunities to see that it can be done, how it's done, and hopefully lead by example.
Exactly. I mean, it's the way that when we first started OTWO Pod and when we first started thinking about doing it, it's all about that. At the end of the day, you want to share what has inspired you, what you found easy, what you found difficult. Because at the end of the day, if you found something difficult, why not share this and avoid somebody else falling through the same hurdles? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's all about reducing and trying to think of outside the box on things that we can do to help each other out and fixing, like you're saying, the boxes, you're giving it a different life. It's all about that. It's an amazing thing that you're doing, and the Bishop's Move, I bet, is very grateful for.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win, and that's what we're trying to create. It's a win not just for us, but for the community and for the environment. So, why not try and seek out those opportunities?
This is amazing. So what are the biggest challenges that you've noticed introducing e-bikes to Gibraltar?
Well, so from day one, we recognised the heavy use of vehicles on the roads, and the one thing that prevents people who would like to be cycling is safety. So we, like yourself, and we did a lot together in the early days, trying to unite a lot of businesses and organisations in Gibraltar to support safe cycling. We had that whole campaign supporting safe cycling on the Rock, I think we can safely say that we were a bit of a cog with yourselves to try and promote the cycle lanes that finally sort of saw light of day at the end of last year.
How have you noticed that?
That's huge. That's huge. It took a long time, and even with a bicycle advocate such as our previous transport minister, ex-minister Balban, even with him at the helm, it was an awfully long process to get that network started. So that's the biggest challenge, making people safe on the road, and then they are more likely to take these transport alternatives are not only good for their health, they're good for their wallet, they're good for the environment, and it's a win-win all around.
Yeah, it's all that. It's all about public attitudes at the end of the day, towards e-bikes and sustainable transport. How have you noticed that? Have you noticed since you started your company, since 2019 to now? Have you noticed there's been a positive change? Have you noticed there's been a negative change?
I would say very, very positive change from when we're here. I've been in Gibraltar since 2002 and always on a regular bicycle. I didn't have any issues on the road on that bicycle, but I was very much in the minority. You would see very, very few cyclists back then. I mean, look at it now. You know, there are bicycles everywhere, and still I feel that we're only at the start. Certainly the cycle lanes that we have to date have encouraged a lot of people to be able to get to school on bicycles.
Yeah.
And it's just an awareness process as well, isn't it? We are, I think other road users are realizing the sheer volume of traffic is not sustainable. It's much more inconvenient. Parking is more difficult. Being in gridlock, you know, who wants that? So seeing other people using alternative transport means rather than getting in the car for everything is again, it's a win-win for all road users.
Yeah, I mean, as well, I would say, just to add on that, I think as well, the infrastructure, apart from cycle lanes, is the bicycle parkings. I mean, we have just seen in December, there's been a press release coming out with 178 new bicycle parkings. I mean, apart from having safer cycling routes and safer cycling, you know, roads, you can say that the easiness of a person being able to come to town, let's just say, and park your bicycle right in the middle of town, in Piazza, for example, would make life a lot easier and a lot more attractive.
Absolutely, and that's really what it's all about: safety and convenience. And if you can marry those two, then you get a complete change in culture, and that's ultimately what we need.
Yeah, that's for sure. So from a business perspective, do you believe promoting sustainable transport through e-bikes has contributed to profitability?
To profitability, what do you mean exactly?
Do you think that it's working? Are you happy to have changed? I mean, I can imagine from 2019 to now, do you see it as a positive change? When we first started, in the first episode, we had Carlito Buhaya that is very proud to say and is very advocate in saying that sustainability equals profitability. Do you believe that is the case?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and going back to the Sustainability Awards, I mean, that very much demonstrates how that works. You know, if you can, the more sustainable you are, the more not only is it appreciated by the environment, but it's recognised by the community, and shareholders and all stakeholders are now so much more environmentally conscious. Even here, I mean, we are, gosh, you know, in certain things, we're looking at the Cycle to Work scheme, which is 25 years old in the UK. And if you look at cycle lanes, you know, they date back to the 1970s in some European cities. Yeah. So, you know, we've got a lot of catching up to do, and I think now it is very widely recognised that sustainability is the way forward.
So, with regards to companies, as a shop owner yourself, and as an advocate for cycling and sustainable transport, have you noticed a lot of other companies coming towards with regards to Cycle to Work schemes, or interested in promoting these sort of company bicycles, cargo bikes? Have you seen an interest in this? Small,
I would say, to this point. We do have a survey which is currently live, trying to get an idea from companies whether or not they would or would not support a Cycle to Work scheme here in Gibraltar. We're looking for about 50 respondents. We're pretty close to that mark now. We've had 2 or 3 who have said that they would not support such a thing.
Right.
They're more interested in public transport and creating pavements where there aren't, which is very much what we're for as well.
Sustainable transport is sustainable transport.
Absolutely. But I think in terms of ESG for companies, the Cycle to Work scheme can have a huge impact, because if you can reduce the entire employee or workforce carbon footprint on their transport, on their daily commute, then that's hugely significant.
So to explain a bit further about Cycle to Work schemes?
Yes, so basically the employer purchases bicycles or electric bicycles for employees, and the employee pays the employer back from their wage packet before tax.
Okay.
So there's a tax incentive there. You can end up with a saving of about up to 40% on the purchase of a vehicle, and have it delivered immediately rather than having to save up. So it's an incredible way. I mean, there's millions of bikes on the road in the UK through the Cycle to Work scheme, and as I was saying before, hugely significant for people's ESG.
That sounds good. That sounds really interesting and really positive. So is that the goals for 2025? What are you looking forward to? What changes are you looking forward to doing?
That certainly is the biggest goal. So as part of the Sustainable Transport Action Group, we have been sort of commissioned in a way by Minister Cortez to gather this data on local companies to give him some ammunition to go forward with this project.
That's perfect.
So at our next meeting, which hopefully will be within the next couple of months, we will be looking to report back to him to demonstrate that there is significant support, because this is not something new, right? We're 25 years into this being
if it's worked in other countries.
Plenty of data that suggests that people who are cycling to work are not only more productive, there's huge benefits to their well-being, their health, as well as the environment. So there's really no reason not to want this. I mean, we're very lucky as well with our Director of Public Health, Dr. Helen Carter, who's very supportive as well on the preventative medicine side as well as the cure.
I mean, it is an issue, and I think statistics came along not long ago, right, with regards to issues on health, and I mean, diabetes sort of statistics was quite alarming. I think
Off the chart. Childhood obesity, type 2 diabetes in over 50s. It's a huge problem here.
I mean, it's a conversation to have, and I think it's a conversation definitely to elaborate on, because I mean, sustainable transport doesn't always have to be, or doesn't only have to be about the environmental, like we were mentioning. It's got to do about your well-being, it's got to do about your health, it's got to do about taking care of yourself. And if you start becoming a bit mobile, you'll be wanting to be a bit more mobile, and perhaps take care of yourself a little bit better, and stretching and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, a healthy community is a happy community, right? And if we can tie that in with some fresher air, then we're all happy.
Winner. Yeah. So, closing, if you could implement one change today to make Gibraltar even more e-bike friendly, one change, what would it be?
It's got to be the extension of the started dedicated infrastructure for cycling and electric scooters. Safety is still the biggest issue. Environmental concerns, I think, are increasing in prominence, but really to change people's hearts and minds, I suppose, we need them to be safe on the road, and it just needs to demonstrate that it's so much more convenient, because ultimately we're heading for full-time gridlock, and that's not going to do anybody any favors. Stress levels, health levels, and just being able to plan your day, right? If you've got to plan your journey and allow an hour for being stuck in traffic for making a 20-minute journey, I mean, it's mind-blowingly ridiculous. I am very much encouraged by a lot of expats who are coming to live in Gibraltar, we seem to be their second stop after they bought their property. They then look for their transport.
That's brilliant.
They've got no intention of using a car. Obviously, they've got cars, but they don't use them in Gibraltar. They keep them for Spain. And to get around, they find e-cargo bikes and other electric bikes, the answer. Short distances, amazing climate, few hills.
Yeah, and with an e-bike, I personally have one, and
yes.
it's changed
one of our first clients.
It's changed my life totally. It is one of these things that I do highly recommend always.
Yeah.
And it's not only because of environmental, but because of the easiness that it is, and it changes.
I think convenience is the key for people. When they realise our biggest challenge is getting people on the seat into the saddle for the first time. When they realise what these bikes can do, how easy it is, how they can get around the city in full work attire, and not be sweating, and then be able to pull up right outside and park and not have to leave the car miles away. These things, when people realise, are going to be the changing catalysts.
That's brilliant. So if somebody was to be interested in this Cycle to Work scheme, how would they be able to get in contact with you or your Sustainable Transport group?
Yes, indeed. So we've got a group on Facebook, which already has a few hundred members, and we can always be contacted through that. It's STAG, which I think is an acronym you came up with. Yeah, Sustainable Transport Action Group, or through the shop. Just look at our website for our contact details. It's just ebike-gibraltar.com. And yes, we are still collecting data for support or not of a Cycle to Work scheme. So I think the survey was distributed by the GFSB as well as Chamber of Commerce. I don't think we'll be closing that survey until at least the end of January. So plenty of time to contribute.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Stuart, for coming. Is there anything else you want to add, or are you happy?
No, I think that was great. Yeah, we're very happy to. The e-bike Gibraltar project is very much a community project as well. Obviously, a commercial concern. We've got rent to pay and wages, all the rest of it, but we're very much focused on how the business can help the community get around and not be so polluting.
Honestly, it's brilliant. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode soon. Bye.